Thanks for joining us today for this edition of Montgomery County Cable's In the Loop. I'm Neil Greenberger, and our special guest today is County Council Member at Large George Leventhal. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Neil.
We're going to talk about some of the issues you've been very passionate about for your 9 years on the council. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk about some of the things that really have really shaped your career here in public service. And one of them goes back to your time when you were the legislative director for U.S. Senator Barbara Mikulski. I'm sure that was a very interesting experience, and I wonder how much of that carried over to what you do today and what you brought as a local elected official.
Oh, I think the years that I spent working for Senator Mikulski were enormously influential in my professional development. As a policy analyst, she had rigorous standards. She wanted to make sure that the facts were accurate. As an advocate for people's needs, she was very, very passionate about making sure that the work that we did in her office made a real improvement in people's lives, and that certainly has carried over to the work that I've done myself as an elected official. And I think the strongest influence that she had on me, she had many different influences on me, is in public speaking. I watched her over a long period of time, and I still do when I see her, assemble facts and deliver a forceful message. And I learned a great deal from her, and often you'll hear me giving a speech, and if you're familiar with the way that she gives a speech, there's certainly an echo there.
She always tries to relate, and she does relate to her audience on both a level as a leader, but also as a real person, I think. And I think that's something everybody would like to emulate.
Well, in Maryland, we're very fortunate that she's devoted so many years to public service and being such a forceful advocate for working families. And, you know, she was a great teacher for me.
In the same vein of being a council member, what are some of the things about being a Montgomery County council member that people don't see? They see you on the dais, they see you on TV in official capacities in a lot of ways. What don't people see about makes this job very tough?
I think sometimes people forget that we live here and we pay taxes too, and we are affected just the same way they are by the very policies that we adopt. So that when someone writes us and says, you know, you increased the tax on cell phones or energy and that's a real burden, you know, we're middle-income taxpayers too. We feel the same burden. We have to make hard choices to balance the budget and provide high-quality public services, and we pay just like everybody else does. When we talk with our public employees, you know, county council members haven't had a raise since 2008 either. I'm not complaining. The work is very satisfying, but we live in this county, and our children attend the public schools, or of 9 of us, the only one whose children either haven't or are not now attending public schools is Hans, because his children are so young. We all have children in the public schools. Our pay has been frozen just like every other county employee. We pay the taxes too. When the taxes go up, we pay them too. And I think that's what people fail to understand. They think somehow we're a special class. But the policies that we adopt, we have to live under.
Speaking of just being a county resident, you've been very active in the Washington Council of Government. Some people know it as COG, and it's the organization where all the local governments in the Washington area get together, exchange ideas and thoughts, and make long-range plans. How important is this organization, and what are some of the things you've worked on that you think people either may or may not see in the coming future about things that are discussed between all the governments?
The Council of Governments is unusual in that we represent, in effect, 3 states, Maryland, Virginia, and the District of Columbia. And so it doesn't really convey the same force that some other metropolitan planning organizations do that are located in a single state. It really doesn't have any enforcement ability, and it doesn't really deliver services. But there are certain things that it does that are enormously important. It does compile some growth and economic statistics that are heavily relied upon by planning departments throughout the region. It does, in my area, it does compile the one-day head count of homelessness in the region, which is relied upon on the benchmark as the benchmark for an issue that I'm extremely interested in. It does provide some joint procurement and purchasing of fuel and opportunities for governments to expand their reach and achieve economies of scale. I wouldn't say it's a strong organization with a lot of teeth. What it is, I think, is an opportunity to meet with and share ideas with peers, other elected officials in other counties and the District of Columbia and cities, where we're all dealing with the same issues, but we're approaching them in slightly different ways. So we can learn from each other, we can borrow ideas from each other, we can commiserate with each other. It's a tough job, and we can share that experience. So I enjoy it very much. I've gotten to know quite well some of my counterparts in the district in Virginia and other counties in Maryland, and that's valuable professionally and personally.
Speaking of diverse opinions and approaching things different ways, you're one of 4 at-large council members. We have 5 of our council members representing districts. You live in Tacoma Park. What's different about being an at-large council member as opposed to representing a district specifically?
I do live in Tacoma Park, but I represent all of Montgomery County. No matter where you live in Montgomery County, I work for you, and I do take that responsibility very seriously. Sometimes the newspaper reports me as, you know, the councilman from Tacoma Park, but indeed I work very hard to be in touch with what people need in Leisure World, in Burtonsville, in Damascus, in Bethesda. I don't want to leave any community out. It's risky to mention any of them. But I'm out and about. I put a lot of miles on my car, and I do take very seriously the wide range of concerns. And we're a very large county, 500 square miles, with a lot of different concerns. We have a lot of farms, and we have real serious urban challenges of growth and crime, and then we have quiet suburban single-family neighborhoods, and we want to maintain those and keep them safe and maintain the quality of life. So I grew up in this county. I've lived most of my life here, and I enjoy dealing with the wide range of issues, as I say, from urban to suburban to rural.
Well, in that vein of wide range of things and getting people from here to there, the Purple Line. No one's been a bigger advocate in this county to build this east-west extension of Metro from Bethesda to New Carrollton than George Leventhal. In addition to the details of how we're going to actually make this happen, why are you so passionate about that? Why do we need that so badly?
The Metro system was designed to serve suburban communities and get people who live far away from the District of Columbia in to work in the District of Columbia. That's no longer the land use pattern that we have in 2011. We are failing to provide opportunities for people easily to take mass transit from their homes in the suburbs to their jobs in the suburbs. And that's a challenging problem. It's very expensive to build new mass transit. We're making, I think, satisfactory progress. Governor O'Malley has exerted real leadership advocating for the Purple Line. I'm very optimistic that we will get federal approval to proceed, and we've just got to keep moving forward. One of the most frustrating things about this job is the length of time that transportation improvements require. You have to conceptualize the system. You have to design the system. You have to engineer the system. You have to plan the system. And then you have to construct the system. And each of those phases takes years. And so it's slow, and people are frustrated at how long it takes, and elected officials are frustrated.
Well, talking about getting a national and local people involved, you're the chair of the council's Health and Human Service Committee, and you have been for a long time. This county, a lot under your leadership, has really cared about people who do not have health insurance or access to medical care. We have some great programs. The big national debate, which seemed to be moving very slowly, if at all, about health care. Are we really a model in many ways of what people should just, on the national level, should look at? I'm sure we have some gaps, but how close are we to accomplishing what they keep talking about?
I am very proud of what we've accomplished in Montgomery County, and we are making sure that nearly 30,000 people this year will get access to care, medical care that otherwise they wouldn't have, other than through emergency rooms, which is the most expensive and least efficient way of providing care. So we're certainly improving people's lives, and we're certainly providing access to medical care above and beyond what almost any other county in the United States is doing. There are very few counties that have devoted the same attention and made it the same priority. Certainly as the federal health reform is implemented, and once 2014 comes around, once the health exchanges are available, we hope that more Montgomery County residents will easily get access to health care, and that will certainly, I hope, share the burden that right now in Montgomery County we've been carrying all by ourselves. I'm glad that, of course, and I support federal health reform. I'm glad the federal government is stepping up to the plate. For too long, we've been doing it all by ourselves at the county level.
Another place we've been a leader is another place that you took a lead here. Every time somebody walks in a restaurant, a big chain restaurant in Montgomery County, they see nutritional information on the menus and on the signboards. We did that before the federal government really got their programs moving. How do you think that program's working?
Well, it is important, as you point out, that there is also a mandate in federal health reform to do that throughout the country. This very same requirement that we put into effect last year in Montgomery County will go into effect in every one of the 50 states as part of federal health reform. And so every chain restaurant of 20 outlets or more will have to put on its menu or menu board the calories in each item on the menu. Look, for many years there has been package labeling for the groceries that you buy, and that's of benefit. It's important for people who are planning, for people who have to carefully monitor their intake, whether they're trying to lose weight or whether they have diabetes or whether they have other health conditions, that high blood pressure, whatever it is, that mean that they're on a program where they're very carefully counting the calories that they take in. There's no magic bullet to health or wellness. There's no, simply putting calories on the menu is not automatically going to lead to a dramatic increase in public health or a dramatic decline in obesity, but it's just simply information for the consumer. The comments that I get about it are overwhelmingly positive. I have people coming up to me all the time saying, "I'm so glad you did that." And it has helped me personally. I know anecdotally that when I'm in a restaurant, I will choose an item that I might not have known contain more calories, that's still delicious and satisfying, but it's really information for the consumer. If there's been some press coverage that suggests that it isn't really effective, that obesity rate hasn't declined as a result of those jurisdictions, not only Montgomery County, but New York City and Philadelphia and Seattle and others who have done this. And I wouldn't expect that that would be the result. It's information for the consumer. It's good for the consumer to know. If the consumer makes use of it, great. It's not a mandate. It doesn't compel anybody. If somebody wants to go into a restaurant and eat a bacon cheeseburger, God bless you. I hope they don't do it every day, but go ahead, eat what you want.
I know that I've found, and you probably found, some of the items on menus that you think are healthy are shockingly not so healthy when
That's
you
correct.
see the numbers. It's really, if nothing else, very interesting reading.
It's useful information. It's useful information. It's consumer information.
We have a couple minutes left. There's one thing I did want to ask you about, something that you had asked for in the past year, which I think has gotten a lot of attention around the Beltway. That was a comparison of statistical information between Montgomery County and Fairfax County. We're often compared as two of the most affluent counties in America. We have a lot of things the same, some things different for a variety of reasons. What have we learned from that, and where are we going to build from a report that was done by our Office of Legislative Oversight, which I think, again, surprised many people when they saw the numbers?
Well, Montgomery County is a great place to live and to do business. We're the 11th wealthiest county in the United States out of more than 2,000 counties, so we're very fortunate. Fairfax is the second wealthiest. We are often benchmarked against Fairfax. We're very similar. We're very close to each other. We have similar industries, similar demographics. We're just to the north and they're just to the south of the District of Columbia. We have a lot in common. I always get questions about why are things this way in Montgomery vis-a-vis how they are in Fairfax, and so I asked the Office of Legislative Oversight to compare us. And what we found is that we have a lot of work to do. Our taxes are higher. Our cost per employee is higher. This is not something to beat ourselves up over. It's a benchmark that enables us to implement good management and good government and understand where we are. The way that you measure your own success is through comparing yourself with like-situated counterparts, and that's what we did in this case. Some were concerned because it appeared to tell a negative story about Montgomery County. I think it gives us data that we can work with to make progress and to do better. We need to make sure that we're getting value for our dollar when we're spending tax dollars. We need to make sure that we're getting excellent educational outcomes for all of the billions of dollars we're putting into our school system. And so it's just simply a way of measuring our progress. You can't measure success if you don't measure.
Well, I wish we could measure this edition of In the Loop for a few more minutes, but we are out of time. I want to thank Councilmember at Large George Leventhal. We can't wait to have him back. There's so many things in his 9 years that we have yet to talk about. Thanks for joining us. I'm Neil Greenberger. Until next time, this has been In the Loop.